And we're live.
We're live. Okay. Hello, everyone, and welcome. This is
We're live.
Chess Talks, episode 7. Hello. And here we have coaches, premier coaches of CoChess, Grandmaster Mykhaylo Oleksiyenko. Hello, Mykhaylo. We have International Master Kostya Kavutskiy.
Hey
Hello.
guys. Hello.
And we have a new member in our stream, and this is Kestony Kazlenas.
Yeah,
Am I
all good. All
just
good.
close to pronounce your last name? And myself, I am Keti Tsatsalashvili, and here we are at Chess24 YouTube channel and also Chess24 Twitch channel. So feel free to write us the comments, share your thoughts, and ask the questions to our coaches. We will talk a lot of topics today. We will talk all the chess newses, upcoming chess tournaments, new projects, online projects. We will analyze chess games, and then we will play a fun game. This is quick fire, so I'm really looking forward to this. Are you guys looking forward to these questions too? Okay, you don't know what questions there are, I know. And they are really, really interesting. I really want to hear your answers about those questions. So, how are you guys?
Doing good.
Thanks,
Kostya?
Keti. Doing good. It's very late evening here, but I'm always excited about the streams. They actually don't take energy away from me. I actually get energy from the streams, so I appreciate it.
Kestony, this is your first show with us. Tell us about yourself.
Thank you much for the word. Some of you might already know me from the streams. My name is Kestony. I'm a young man from a small country in Europe called Lithuania. Friends call me Kestony, and I'm blessed to say that actually all my life, for the last 7 years, my only job that I have ever had was teaching chess. So it will be a pleasure of sharing my own experience and participating in chess talk discussions about the chess.
Nice.
Amazing. I know that you brought some interesting game for today, so we will take a look at that game too. And let's start to talk about this Altibox Norway chess that is coming up on October 5. And we have very strong lineup, including Carlsen, Caruana, Aronian, Duda, Firouzja, and Tari. And what is really interesting, the players have to go to quarantine, right? Before the tournament.
Oh, did they?
I did not know that.
Some of
That's
them
very
might.
interesting.
Yes, because I found the tweet on Twitter that some of the people who are working there are taking the tests, COVID tests, and they are in quarantine.
That makes sense, I would say. You want as much safety as possible. So
would you go to the tournament 10 days before and be in quarantine and then play?
For that tournament, yes.
For Norway.
Where do I sign?
No brainer, right?
Use all the quarantine time for preparation, yeah, against these guys.
It would not be enough, but yes.
So, any thoughts about this event? Who will win? Who is your 5 favorites here?
I myself, as a fan, feel it's very nice to see the young upcoming talents participating in such a big events. You mentioned Firouzja and also the Norwegian prodigy Tari. So it's very nice to see not only the stars of the chess, but also upcoming great prodigies in this tournament. And I think when the world champion participates in any kind of tournament, it would be a shame not to say that he's the favorite one, right, guys?
Yeah, indeed. Indeed, yeah, we have first playing in Norway. And very much looking forward to it. And Judith Polgar, alongside with Vladimir Kramnik, will do the commentary of this event.
Oh wow! Okay.
So, insane.
Two retired stars. That would be awesome. That would be awesome. I do have an opinion.
Oh yeah, go ahead.
Yeah,
go ahead.
sorry. Okay. So I checked the list one more time, and I played 4 of those people out of 6. You can guess the 2 I didn't play with, the top 2. I mean, over the board. Okay, not over the board. I played Alireza Blitz many games, and I played Duda Jan Krzysztof when he was only 2580. That was 6 years ago. So we played each other then, and I played Aronian in Bundesliga last year.
I remember this game with Duda, actually. You told us.
Oh, yes, I showed that game. That was that was the game that I was... so I actually... Duda helped me play a wonderful game against Alireza in Blitz because I was... First, I got similar pawn structure against Duda, and I was suffering so much. So I knew that was a bad pawn structure, and Alireza didn't know it, and I managed to win a very good game with white. So I played... I played Alireza in classical chess too, but he was 2470 or something when we played, and I managed to beat him. So I wish him to become the world champion. I would have a positive score against him in classical chess. So, and I played Aryan Tari in some European individual championship. And it's actually quite an embarrassing story because I played the Scotch with white against him, and he just crushed me with black. He went for the main line, and later on, I was so embarrassed because first of all, I didn't see that Magnus played this line with black, and I missed it in my preparation. I really don't know how that happened. I went for a line where so the whole Norwegian team, I know because Romanov Yevgeny was their coach, at least back at the time, and he was telling me that they were analyzing Scotch. And then I was like, and then I'm playing Aryan Tari, and they are like, they work closely together. And I got completely, like on move 10, I was lost with white, or move 12 or something. That was like ridiculous. And I was like, who did this preparation? That was embarrassing. So I have a very painful memory playing against Aryan Tari, quite pleasant memories with Firuza and Duda. And Levon Aronian couldn't be nicer after the game. He crushed me in a fascinating fashion. He was so nice. We got to analyze the game. He gave me compliments because he was in a good mood. He beat me. So, but yes, that was like last year, I think, 2019. We played Bundesliga on first board. So yes, and of course Magnus is the favorite.
Wow, so jealous.
And I played once next to Caruana. Does that count?
Yeah, it's almost better, right? You didn't have to.
I saw him being crushed by my fellow grandmaster from Belarus. He just crushed him, and he was already 2770, 2010.
I sometimes play against Duda in bullet game.
Oh, okay.
Like bullet game, and this is one of the fun time control for us, mostly for him because he's usually crushing me, but it's a lot of fun. Yeah. All right. Kostya, oh no, that's Kostya, sorry. Mykhaylo, we're talking about you and your games. Can you please show us now on the chessboard one of your favorite, or the maybe not favorite, but the game that you remember and brings very good memories to you?
Yeah, I have a deja vu feeling. I already told that, so maybe I have shown this game again, but I don't mind. I love the game. I can show it one more time. That is good. So this is a game against, I don't know if you can see it on the, you don't see the players who are playing. Okay, so I was playing black with, okay. I'm gonna assume I didn't tell this story, so I'm gonna tell everything. It's a Israeli team championship, and I was playing on board 1. And our team was not very strong because my rating was like 25-40 or something like that. And the team that we were playing with, the name of the team just slipped my mind. Some very strong, Ashdod. Ashdod is a very strong team in Israel. And their last board was higher rated than our first board. So you can tell, and there were 6 boards, if I remember correctly. So we are like way weaker team. Their last board is 26 plus, and I'm board 125-40. So, and the rules of at least 10 years ago of Israeli team championship was that there's a list of players, but you don't know who you're playing with until the clock starts.
Oh, wow.
So anyone can show up from the list. More than that, they can switch the sequence if the difference in rating is within 50 or 100 points. I don't remember that. So frankly, it's impossible to guess who you're playing with because there are like 3 or 4 people, even on board 1, that can show up. So, and our captain told me prepare for Emil Sutovsky and oh my God, who's the other Israeli player? Oh, it's so embarrassing.
This is fun. There's Rothstein, Avrak,
No.
Ehrenberg.
Albaron.
No, Smirin, Ilya Smirin.
Smirin.
I googled it.
Should have been first guess.
So he said, well, a captain told me prepare for Emil Sutovsky. So that was 10 years ago, and he was playing very actively, or not very, but active. Or Ilya Smirin. And so I prepared some Sicilian, as you would see now. And then comes Sutovsky, who's the more rated, and goes and sits on board number 3. And I'm like, what's going on? I thought I was playing him on board 1, and he goes and sits on board number 3. And then Smirin comes and goes to board number 2. And I'm like, okay, who am I playing with? So basically I'm playing against somebody who's been preparing for me because I'm the obvious, I think the difference in the rating, like it was clear I was board 1. And here comes Vugar Gashimov. I don't know how old are you guys, but 10 years ago, he was a very strong grandmaster, 2750 around, top 10 in the world. And he shows up and plays e4 against me. And I'm like, okay, what do I do? So he clearly prepared for the game, and I didn't. I have no idea what to do. And then, so I just go with what I prepared. c5, knight f3, d6, d4, takes, knight f6, knight c3. Hold on, are the pieces moving for you guys?
Mm-hmm.
Yes,
they are.
yes.
Very good. Knight c3. So I go a6, and Smirin and Sutovsky in this position were playing bishop to e3, and they were playing bishop to e3 in this position. So I was preparing for bishop e3. I prepared some, to be honest, dubious sideline. And then comes Vugar Gashimov, and he plays bishop g5. And I suddenly recall all the top-level grandmasters he was playing. I remember a game he played with Grishchuk in this line with bishop g5, where the king was like going all over the place. And I was like, oh my goodness, I'm playing this line that I have no idea what is going on. And so he played bishop to g5. And I was like, oh my God. And he prepared, he blitzed out. So e6 was my move, f4, and I chose this dubious sideline queen to c7. And that was it. That was out. I was out of my. Sorry.
But whenever there's bishop on g5, I know there's gonna be a huge fight on the board.
Exactly. Or some forcing weird draw. That's some theoretical forcing draw. That could also be the case. So, and I was on my own completely. So basically, this is the background you need to know to understand. We're not going to go through the game. The game is so messy; it's very hard to realize what is going on. So I knew only the ideas of this line. For example, so he took bishop f6, g takes f6, and now he played knight to b3. The idea for those who's interested in this kind of line is that. Why knight b3? That's usually not the proper way to play chess in the opening, right? So the idea is that square on h5 is very critical. It is very critical to... Oh, I cannot draw arrows, yeah? Green highlights, so let me do this. h5 square is super important, and if white can occupy that square, black is in huge trouble. However, the problem is if white goes queen h5 here, queen h5 here, I get to go queen c5. Let me promote this. I get to go queen h5, I get to go queen c5, force queen exchange, and suddenly black is already better. So just one move and black is better because the endgame is awesome for black. So so that's just a little to give you a little background. Why did he play knight b3? So he played knight to b3 in this position. I was on my own already, so I knew why he did it. He wants to go queen h5 or bishop to h5. So I played h5. He went bishop e2. I played h4. So this is super weird line. I'm not developing pieces. I'm pushing some pawns. This is very weird game. But you need to understand that he prepared for me. Their team is much stronger than our team. They have to win. There's no question about it. No question. Where it was, his rating was, I think, 2760. No, 2759, and mine was 2546. So more than 200 points rating. He's the top level player. So he's clearly playing for a win. So bishop g4, knight d7, castle b5, f5, knight c5, f takes e, f takes e. I sacrifice a pawn on f6, but that's a poisoned pawn. My bishop would be very strong. He goes knight d4, I go b4, he goes knight d5. So he is really going to get me. E takes d5, e takes d5. This is quite a typical sacrifice. So I'm losing lots of time here because I don't know what to do. I have lots of problems to fix. Queen g7, bishop c8, rook c8, a3. I go b3 to not open the a file. Very messy game, full of inaccuracies and mistakes. But the critical moment goes later. C takes b, h3, g3, queen g5, queen e2, king goes queen e5. Please exchange queens. No, he's not doing that. I go king d8, he goes knight c6 check, I take, and then I go queen takes b2, threaten checkmate, queen f3, king c7, and then I look at my king and oh, my king looks fine now, compared to where he was. The king on c7 doesn't look half bad. So I'm starting to like my position. He goes rook a to e1. I think he blundered the following maneuver. I jumped knight d3, he cannot take it because of checkmate. So he went rook e2, I gave check, king h1, and I went knight to e5, and he took my pawn on f6. So I really remember this situation very clearly because it's very bright in my memory. The position is completely messy. And I look at it, and I'm like, compared to what I had before, I really like my position. Because, well, the only problem I have that rook is hanging. But otherwise, my king is safe. I like my king. There are no checks. I like my awesome knight on e5. My queen is good. So, but I'm very low on time. I have just several minutes on the clock, and he has more than 20. So what I did in this position is I did it on purpose.
How did you feel? How did you feel at this moment when you realized that, okay, things are not so bad, but it's actually
my feeling was that I'm much better, but I'm very low on time, but I don't see what to do. So I'm giving this advice. Okay, sometimes it can backfire, but here I thought I can check his intentions by repeating the position. So I played queen d5 check instantly. He went king g1, and I instantly played queen to d4 check. And it was obvious to me that if he exchanges queens, then c6 pawn would be lost. And who's gonna stop my d pawn? I would just start pushing it. Knight on e5 is amazing. I would be better. If he pins himself with the rook, thank you very much. His pieces are pinned. So it was clear to me that he has to go for the repetition. I knew I was better, but I didn't see how to use it. So I basically gave him a pass. You want to play for a win, just show what you got. So, and since he's more rated, the team is much stronger. The team is expecting him to win, of course. That's another pressure I'm assuming he was going through. I would for sure be going through that. They paid me lots of money. I play this putzer who doesn't play some dubious line, much less rated, right? So, and after some time, he plays rook e to f2. And I'm like, oh, wow, no, that's too much. That is too much. I cannot believe he's like playing only with his queen. What's this? The rooks are like, no. But I'm low on time. I have like maybe 2 minutes or so. And I still don't see how I can win this one. So I already feel this must be a win. There's no way this is correct. No chance whatsoever. but I don't see yet because I have like 1 or 2 minutes. So what I do, I keep, so I play rook g8. My rook was hanging, so I play rook g8. And after some thought, he goes queen f5, because if he wants to win, what can he do? Like if he goes king h1, trying to unpin himself, I can always, if he goes king h1, I can give check queen d5. He has to come back, king g1, and I can come back. So this is not the way. He's not going to play king g1 because this is a repetition, and he's still playing for a win. So how can white play for a win? He played queen f5, attacked my very important pawn, and I instantly, without any deliberation, played rook h8. Instantly. Just boom, as if I'm so happy with the draw. So I gave him this feeling that I'm happy with the draw. I didn't offer draw. I knew I was winning. I have this feeling that I couldn't see where it was. I just felt it that it's not right to pin like this. So here he starts spending lots of time to figure out how can he create some trouble for me, because I'm very low on time. I actually don't remember whether it's move 33 now. I don't remember whether there was any extra time after move 40 or till the end of the game. I don't remember, but still 7 moves to go and I have like 2 minutes. He was thinking like, how can I create more problems for him? Of course he cannot, like I'm dominating here. So, but he so wanted to win that he forgot, he didn't even believe that I can play for a win this one. So after a long thinking, he played reluctantly queen f6 with the expression that I can only interpret as fine, you can have your draw. So that was that's how I read his impression. So he went queen f6, and when he was looking for ways to create problems for me, I was looking for ways to win against him. And since he gave me time, since I make it look like I want to draw, I immediately, so I understood, so maybe for our viewers the question, I would say. We can talk a little bit about something else for a second. Black to move, and best move for black in this position.
Is it some tactic, or it's just some quiet move?
Oh, it's just a winning move, basically. So,
interesting.
I'll give a minute. Maybe people from chat can pop in and suggest a move. And so I'll make a little spoiler. I won this game obviously because you could feel I'm building up to this, right? So the funny story is that the match ended in a draw. We drew the match because I won and they had some other win. So it was a draw, even though their team was so much stronger than our team. You cannot believe. So on our last board, we had 2,200 playing 2,600 on previous boards. So there's like, this is maybe the least rating difference was on board 1, 200. So and we made a draw, and I don't know what their captain was going through after that. But if he were to accept a draw in that, when I repeated with the queens, I think I wouldn't figure out the way to win. So yeah, this one is difficult. If Vugar Gashemov didn't see it, so it's okay if people in the chat cannot find it. So I'm gonna just go ahead and show it. When he was thinking how to create problems, it occurred to me that my rook is not hanging. My rook is not hanging because there's knight f3 check coming. So if queen goes to h8, I give knight f3 check, and then backward diagonal move. I win the queen. So my rook is not hanging. So I don't have that only problem that I thought I have. I don't have that problem. My rook is not hanging. So, and finally, hold on, is it correct? Yeah, my bishop from f8 never moved. The whole game, my bishop was standing on f8. The whole game, my bishop was standing on f8, and on move 33, no wait, which move 34, bishop goes to h6, entering the stage, pieces applauding, welcome master. And the moment I played this move, of course he instantly realized that he cannot take the rook. I'm gonna put it on the board just to make sure. Queen h8, knight f3 check. Not only, you cannot even take that knight, you have to go king h8 because the rook is pinned. And then I just take the queen, and that was it. So he didn't take it, but after I played bishop to h6, he couldn't believe that I played for a win. He was genuinely shocked that I got into his head basically, that by this quick repetition, as if I'm dreaming of a draw. So I got into his head and he was like, what is going on? So he played Queen E7 check. I took the pawn on C6. He cannot even give a check with the rook. The rook is pinned and another rook the bishop is controlling. So that's it. He went Queen H4 and even blundered Knight F3 check again. And that was the end of the game. I'm not even sure if he shook my hand or signed the score sheet. He was curious about this one. So I didn't cheat in any way, but sometimes you can do it when you're playing against much higher rated players. Make it look like you want to draw. And it could be the way to win, because I'm gonna come back for a second. When I went for repetition on move 30 here, so yeah, I think you can see the position. So Queen F6 here, I went for repetition, Queen D5. If he were to accept repetition, I don't think I would have pulled out the winning move. The winning move here is again Bishop H6. It's much less obvious, but Bishop H6 is winning again, because Queen H8 doesn't work because of mate in 4. Queen D5 check, King G1, and the bishop joins from E3, and literally next move Queen G2 mate, literally checkmate. So with 2 minutes on my clock, I don't think I would have pulled this one off, because I saw it only because I offered a draw and he gave me time. So this is beautiful, literally on next move checkmate. And Bishop H6 would be a winning move in that position. Bishop to H6, huge advantage, but I went for repetition. That's how I won the game. So lots of psychology there, and I've been on this side of the losing side many times when I'm playing supposedly weaker players. It's like, draw, no, with white, are you crazy? When my opponent is low on time, no way. But if I forget to look at the position, you have to, the evaluation of the position is a crucial factor. All of that is secondary. So that's my game.
Yeah. Beautiful.
I love that lower rated privilege you have.
Yeah.
That's really nice.
So
is this one of your highest victories ever in terms of the rating of the opponent? Because he was like top 10 in the world, right, at the time.
Yes. When I played him, he was number 6 in the world.
I see.
When we were playing each other. So yes, that's the highest classical victories that I have. I don't count Blitz or Rapid, but probably yes, that's the highest one. 2760 basically.
Even so, better than the rating, to say how high was he in terms of like the 6th in the world, right? Better than even the sound of 27 something, yeah.
Yes, to top 10 for many years. Yeah. Even though of his condition and health issues. Fantastic player, very talented, played all the super tournaments, Yeah,
I remember the video of him winning the last round at European Club Cup. Azerbaijan against Russia, and he was the last one who was winning. And after the game, it was like huge emotions among the team, and the other side we saw Russian players being sad. This video, I think it's on YouTube. I found it on Facebook. And this is something that it always brings tears in my eyes, and it's just so beautiful moment. And nowadays there's a tournament in Azerbaijan.
Yes.
Under his name, with all the strong chess players.
Yes. So he passed away many years ago, 2014, I think. And can you imagine how strong Azeri team was? Not only Rajabov and Mamedyarov, there was also Gargashimo. So they were actually positively competing for the top seat all the time. So they still have fantastic team. With Gargashimo, they were like one of the best. And US didn't have all these players that USA has now. So Azerbaijan and Russia, basically, the two best teams. And Ukraine was really good in 2010.
Here we have a question in YouTube chat from Andre Zimmerman. What is the most difficult defense to learn?
I was reading that commentary and I almost laughed in a way that I was thinking, why would you want to know this, right? Like, I would want to know the easiest defense to learn and just to equalize with black and all that. Like, I don't want to know what's the hardest, right?
Well, I don't want to insult anyone, but I think people often have weird conceptions about what it takes to get better at chess. They just come up with these ideas like, oh well, the engine is the best player in the world, so if I just play against the engine all the time, I'll get really good. And it's like it doesn't work out, in practice exactly. I think that's another one of those things. If I just learn the hardest opening, I'll become really good player because I'll know how to play like bad positions. It's like.
Yeah. And there are these kind of like two approaches, right, with the black pieces that either you play one line and you know it super well and it works for, say, MVL right now. He's only playing like 2 openings basically, but you know everything there. Or you're surprised and you're more like Vasily Ivanchuk, who can pretty much play any line. Like if you're playing Vasily Ivanchuk tomorrow, you don't prepare, right? Like you just cannot do that. Right, so it is like that.
I actually was paired against Ivanchuk in Gibraltar a few years ago, and I had that experience. I actually recorded my screen preparing for him because I thought it'd be so funny just to see like all the different moves. And it was impossible. It was like literally I was playing black, and he had played all 4 moves, like E4, D4, C4, Knight F3 in the last few months of the game. In the last few weeks, like he had like a rapid tournament, he played like all 4 moves. I was like, oh boy. So what I did was I looked at his opponents that have a similar repertoire to me, because I have a pretty fixed repertoire. I play King's Indian against D4, and at the time I was playing Taimanov Sicilian. So I was looking for his opponents, like, oh, did he go into the King's Indian against someone, or did he go into the Taimanov against someone? And I actually predicted he would choose E4. So I prepared the Taimanov pretty deeply, but I didn't choose the line that he chose in the Taimanov, because of course there's like a million options, and of course he won.
Yeah, he remembers the games. Like I've seen him remembering the games that some time ago someone played some moves there, and other player played another move there, and he remembers all these games, the date and the results and everything, and he plays like according to these games.
Actually, I know personally one of his first coaches ever. He was Lithuanian, and he used to tell me stories about Ivanchuk. Like, I don't know if it was early 90s or even 80s, but the dedication he had, and he was running and walking. He was true sportsman, different from most of other chess players in a way that he took care of himself way more than the others. And he already, back in the 80s and 90s, he was trying to build up his stamina and all that. Only good stories about the legend.
Yeah.
The funny story, I'll tell you a little secret, because I was the coach of a Ukrainian team, and we didn't spend that almost no time with Vasily preparing, because he needs a special approach. They don't give genius titles for nothing, right? So he's a genius in all the senses, I would say. I think he speaks like 10 languages or something. That's like, he learned Turkish. He just let me learn Turkish language. Yeah, okay, let's go. And then he's genius in everything basically he's doing. But the reason why it's hard to prepare for him, sometimes he doesn't know what he's gonna play when he sits on the board. So how can you tell them?
That's a good point.
I actually have experience. I played him once. It was a dream of mine. I played all the Ukrainian players, all of them, Ponomaryov, Elyanov, everybody, except Ivanchuk. Never played him over the board, never. And I was like, and then I finally play him in Bundesliga, and that was fantastic experience. He actually, I noticed that I only learned Berlin defense for black, and I guessed that he's gonna go E4, just like you, Kostya. And I was black, and I went for Berlin, and he didn't have experience playing Berlin endgame. He was always avoiding it. And he decided to go to a Berlin Endgame with me because I had zero experience. Well, that looked like from database. I had lots of practice games online, but he didn't know that. And I crushed him in the Berlin Endgame. I'm very happy. I have one win against Vasily Ivanchuk, and that's it. I played one game and one win. So, woo!
I remember that at World Cup 2017, he was playing against Levon Aronian, and he was thinking about 20 minutes, I think, 20 minutes and no move. And we were sitting with Ivan Sokolov and Gennady Sosenko, just talking. You know, it's so hard when there are only 2 games left. And you are there for hours and the players are not playing chess. Like one person is thinking for 20 minutes. It's so hard to commentate. And we were talking. And then we saw through the camera that Ivanchuk stood up and left the board. And was like, oh, he made a move. And it was a very important moment, or a critical moment. And we were like, but I don't receive the move. Maybe it's some problem with PGNs or live boards. And then we asked the producer to zoom the camera to the board. The producer zoomed. And we cannot see any difference. Like, we don't see the move. And there were like 3 people watching the sport. And then Ivanchuk came back and continued another 15 minutes to think again. He just stood up from the board, just walked and came back and continued thinking. It was so ridiculous at this moment, so ridiculous. Like, no words to comment. Like, I didn't know what to say. It was just ridiculous. But yeah, one of my favorite person to see his game. He's just amazing. Here we have a question. If Mr. Oleksiyenko drew against Hare Krishna, is it true?
Yes, that's true. We actually played 3 games with Pentala already, and 2 of them in Bundesliga and 1 of them in Qatar Masters 2015. And so I won, I drew, and I lost. So we have an even score with Pentala. The first game I won, the second one in Qatar Masters, good game. I think that was my almost only game in database, was 1 knight f3 with white, and that's beating Pentala Hare Krishna. So I played knight f3, and he just sits there because I never played it. So it was like very pleasant experience. You know, you play 1 move, and Pentala Hare Krishna 27-25 was his rating. At one point, he has had more rating than Vishwanathan Anand, like 1 point. 1 calculate, he was #1 in India, and I was like, yes, I beat that guy. So, and I played knight f3, and he was just thinking because he didn't prepare.
What made you play knight f3 first move? Like, why you made this decision?
I noticed that he's playing some line that I feel very comfortable with. I would just get very little advantage and can push forever. Like, I like to do that against stronger players when they have little chance to win. So when he went on to King's Indian, and we were on our own, like it moved like 5 or 10, we were on our own. So that was my win. The second game I did drew him in the Bundesliga. Then we actually commentated it on the board. I think there's a video on YouTube. Very messy game. I had a winning advantage. I had a bad position, had winning. I didn't win. And then finally, when he got white pieces this year in Bundesliga, he just crushed. So I had, we have even score, but I have 2 white colors. So yeah.
We have a comment from Aditya Shrivastava that there's a video of this game on YouTube. Yes.
Yes, that's what I was referring to. So after the game, they asked us, can you commentate the game? Looks very good. So we went to a chessboard, somebody recorded us. So it isn't maybe Bundesliga. Maybe Aditya, you can send the link to the video, because I don't think it's easy to find.
Actually, guys, I found this video of Ivanchuk. You probably have seen it, but I thought maybe we could show it on the stream. It's the one where he's playing checkers against Badur Jabava.
Exactly. Oh. I wanted to say about this video, right? That if he was already very, very famous, that made him even more famous, the most famous chess player. I showed this to my whole family, and they had a great laugh, right?
That's so funny.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but you know, the combination was fantastic after that.
Yeah, exactly.
Did you notice? Not only he saw that, okay, world champion, that's good. Like I have a position here to figure out, and then he like and he was thinking for the position when he hold that.
Yeah.
He was like,
Oh,
and
yeah.
it's amazing.
No, I have it ready. Actually, maybe we could show it for the fans if you guys want to. If you want to
That would
watch
be great.
on Twitch, the four of us, then we'll all be in sync together.
Sure.
But yeah, let me know when you guys are ready, and I will play it.
You're right.
Okay.
Okay, so here he's playing recognizable game of checkers. That's a Motlikov watching, and this is at like World Rapid Championship, I think. They call up his name.
Yeah, this is the closing ceremony of World Rapid Championship.
Oh, it's Magnus. It's Chrischik. He's first place ahead of Magnus. He was playing checkers.
The way he
And you-
jumped.
Wow.
You will see he's already calculating very, very soon. Like,
Yeah. He's like, oh no.
yeah, nice flowers, and
Stops
already
to
back
smell
to
the
checkers.
flowers.
That's it, right? I like to make a joke to my students that for Vasily Ivanchuk, the pawns are like his children, right? Basically, so. Yeah, look, he's already calculating, right? That genius operation.
I love that he's still enjoying the flowers. Such a multitasker. Oh, congratulations. But there's like, oh, this isn't fair. Like, I got to be here the whole time thinking about the position.
And I don't think, I actually bet no one expected such a combination, right? To come very, very soon here.
Yeah, he's one pawn. Do they call pawns? It's not pawn down. What is it? Is it a pawn down? What's the proper term in checkers?
Pawn down. Two pawns are
Definitely not pawn. Definitely not a pawn.
Definitely not a pawn, right? Boom.
Yeah. Everyone is in shock, right?
Look at his, his look. He's so proud.
Ganguly doesn't get it. They explain it to him. And he's like, that's how checkers works. Like, oh, that's how checkers works.
That's amazing. And actually, he was. They were calling him. They were calling him back to the podium, because they had to make photo all winners together. And have you guys seen this video until the end? I think everybody was still thinking about it.
Did we miss the best part?
Oh, is there more? Is there more? So I thought that was it. I can switch back.
That's the part when we're going there.
Yeah, I'll go back. Here we go. Oh, this is some. Oh, this is their YouTube channel. Never mind. My bad. Sorry, guys. I don't think I have the full video up. It's just the.
Okay.
Just that one clip.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, at the end of this video, you see that all the winners are standing on the podium with medals and flowers and everything, and then Magnus just throws his hands and leaves. It's just fantastic videos, like two things in this video. First, this checkers and Ivanchuk and thinking, and second, Magnus with his hand. It's just perfect video.
Yeah, Magnus was not happy being second. Yeah.
Earlier we were talking about Sutovsky, right? That Mykhaylo was thinking that maybe his opponent is Sutovsky, and some days ago, I think yesterday, he shared at Twitter the position. Can we, Kostya, bring that position on the?
Yeah,
on the screen?
absolutely. I think. Here we go.
Yeah, we see. So here we have the position. I'll just get also the screen. This is from one of his games. Can we check one with the full chessboard? Or I didn't.
Oh, sorry. This was the image you sent. So this is what
Yeah, there's things for myself.
I got.
Okay,
But
so
we get it. There's a king on g1, rook on b1. Yeah, this is his game against Grandmaster Danny Gormali, and this is the final position.
yeah.
Uh,
So knight a4 was played
right.
as the final move here, and white has to resign here because it's impossible to defend the mate on with two ways, right? Knight h3 is coming, and knight e2 will come in. Yeah, anyway, knight h3 is the only way.
Actually, the funny thing about this position is that Emil was saying that white could continue the game with the move h4, and they're completely lost, but they can at least put up some resistance. But he was very grateful to Grandmaster Gormali for resigning in this exact position because it's like such a beautiful picture. I think that's true. If your opponent plays a beautiful game, and they have like a checkmate, just let them put the checkmate on the board, or finish in like aesthetic point of view. I think a lot of chess players are artists, and they'll appreciate the opportunity.
Yeah, I never thought about this way, but in one of our previous episodes, we were talking about this, and then I switched my my attitude, and I said like, okay, next time I will allow my opponents to mate me nicely.
If it's a nice mate, yeah.
Nice.
I see a question in YouTube. Question to all of you. Do you think engines should be banned? Let seconds and players prepare on their own. There will always be unpredictability, isn't it? So I don't. If it was in theory possible to ban engines, we could talk, but it's impossible even in theory. How can you ban engines?
Yeah, we
So
can't
you
even
go
fully
to
ban
each
engines
player's
from the tournament.
Yeah, exactly.
But also from other standpoint, we should be thankful because they elevated the game, right? So the game itself, just like every sport, it evolves, and we're of course on the shoulders of past generations. But on the other hand, we have completely different openings and previously known lost positions now again come back to life, and I think it is important to evolve the game itself, right? And the use of engines is inevitable right now, and not even imaginable for any kind of professional chess player, I would say.
Yeah.
Yeah, if there was a switch that turns off all the engines, we could discuss like that, but it's not possible. So unfortunately, there's no ground to discuss it.
There is a switch, Mykhaylo. We can just start all playing 960, and we have the position announced right before the round. That would be the only way to do it. Which isn't crazy. I think there are some people that would be in favor of that they love chess, but they don't love preparation, and they'd rather just have the game start with no preparation from either side. But yeah, unfortunately, we know too much about the starting position to ever go back. So we'd have to.
I think we had this discussion about Fischer random chess. That would solve the problem of preparation, right? For sure. So engines, you would still, to analyze 960 positions, maybe just wear first 2-3 moves, and that would be your whole preparation. But I find a big issue with Fischer random chess since I don't get them. How can general audience figure anything out? I don't even understand what is going on. So even if people are commentating, like if Grandmaster cannot understand what's going on, how will we promote chess then? No chance there in my point of view. I want to be wrong, but I don't see any way around it.
I always like to say there will always be a guy who will still try to prepare the openings there, right? There's always this crazy genius out there. I remember like how Svidor described the Vladimir Skramnik's preparation, that you set up, say, a position like move 10 or 15, and you just make a list of candidate moves that are possible for the opponent. And you want to have a small idea against every and each of those moves, even if it's something that is irrelevant. So maybe, but even that sounds too crazy to apply this in 960 positions. That is right, the number, right?
No, that was
But
including the
right. That was one opening or like one variation in one opening
Yes.
in starting
Yes.
position.
Exactly. And I have
Yeah.
960, right?
Yeah.
Times more
No,
work.
it would fix the problem of engines and preparation, but it would ruin chess for the general public. At least
Exactly.
that's how I see it.
Exactly.
Here we have the because of using the engines, just we can predict. Mm.
Out of the past and the history of chess, I always found the game adjournments, that was the case back in the 50s, 60s, and 40s. That rule to be a little bit unfair. I could just not imagine it today, right? So after some time or after some moves, I don't remember the exact rule, but the games were stopped. Everyone could come back home and analyze it with the team of grandmaster. Next day they come. And it was a case in not only just some tournaments, but also all championships and such, right? So to me, this was the rule that is just not imaginable. I guess I'm from the new generation, and I just find it shocking, to be honest. Right?
Yeah, there is
Yeah.
a way to fix the engine problem. Invent a time machine and go 70 years back. Yeah, that's the way. That's probably the one. That's the one.
Yeah, about this topic, some days ago I had some interview with Ivan Shlokolov. He said that some kind of position approach, like rook and 2 pawns versus rook, where are there f and h pawn, and it's possible to draw, and you can draw, but it's very hard to find it on the board, and so on and so on. And because of that chance that he could analyze it at home, he managed to save that. And he was searching in many endgame books this position, and he was analyzing all the lines, and he was remembering all these lines. And yeah, I think it's also a little bit unfair to I don't know, to be prepared, come at the game and you already know the results. Like sometimes you don't have much chances, right? And you are using some different factors, time factor, using I don't know, the fact that the opponent is under pressure or tired or so on and so on. And back then, I think that things were not the case.
Yeah, now I would say a skill of creating problems for your opponent became much more valuable than back in the day, because especially with low on time, you can keep going, create like Carlsen is doing. Like he's creating multiple problems till the very end, and people collapse. And if there was like after move 40 or move 60, they could go have rest and analyze for a day. Yeah, that's totally different game then. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, we have now this topic. We have to talk about this topic. It's Ultimate Sensei. Is it the project? Kostya, tell me about the
Thanks,
project.
Keti. Right, so Ultimate Sensei, this is this new show we've been doing on the main channel I stream with, Chess Dojo. It's very exciting. Basically, the idea is that we invited 4 coaches. We have international master Alex Astane, who was with us on Zoom. Shout out to Alex. He's one of the coaches. We have IM David Pruis and 2 grandmasters, Eugene Perelstein and Artur's Nexans. And the idea is we invited these coaches and 8 students, all in the 1800 to 2000 range. Basically, the students are going to be competing against each other. Yesterday we just had the first show where we had the draft, where the students, they played a rapid tournament, and the coaches all watched and took some notes. And then at the end of the tournament, they all kind of drafted their students. And the way we did it was, I think Alex, we randomized the order. Alex picked first, and so he also then picked last. And then we had the second pick, also have the 7th pick, and so on. And yeah, very exciting to be a part of this show. It's like, it's going to be basically 6 weeks, and the coaches are going to be streaming their lessons with each student. And basically it's a show all about chess improvement. You know, we want to see how much these students can improve over these weeks. They're all like, 18, 1900 right now, but they're going to be working like weekly with their coaches. The whole thing is going to be like streamed and broadcasted, so there's going to be all this like pressure on them to like work on their chess and try to improve. Basically, it's like a reality show that's happening.
Wow, nice. And we have very funny video from Jessie.
That's right. Jessie February is also on CoChess, is one of the students actually on the show, along with her stream partner Rebecca. And yeah, I can put up her prep video that she made.
You guys have seen this video?
Not me.
Nope.
It'll be new for you guys. I will switch to this scene and let me know when you guys are ready on Twitch.
Yeah.
All right, here
Ready?
we go. So yeah, she's taking the competition really seriously.
Oh my god, I've seen this video for 10 times already. Stop watching. Stop loving it. It's just brilliant.
That's funny.
So do
It's
you have
so
like
good.
a goal for your students? Do you have like a training plan? Can you tell a little bit, a few more details? Because that sounds fantastic, like chess reality show. That's awesome.
Yeah. So right, we were asking the 4 coaches like, what are you gonna do? Because you only have 6 weeks. It's not that much time to gain like that much in rating, and based on seeing the students play, like clearly a few of them are like stronger than the rest of them. So there's some clear differences in strength that they'll have to overcome. I think for the most part, what I heard from the coaches is that they're gonna focus on like tactics, calculation, because we saw a lot of blunders and like a lot of easy misses. It's rapid chess, game in 15, so yeah, the quality is gonna be definitely an issue for the students, like not to just hang their stuff. Beyond that, I feel like maybe they just didn't want to give away their strategy, but honestly, if I was one of the coaches, and I might be, and we're gonna have like future seasons of this show, and we're gonna work with like different rating groups. If I'm ever a coach, I think I'm gonna focus a lot on the openings, because for a lot of these players, I think they do well when they get their opening, and when they don't get their opening, they kind of collapse. So I feel like for me, if we want to get like the maximum amount of improvement in 6 weeks, I would be like, fix your repertoire, and of course like tactics. I would tell them like just drill tactics like 90 minutes a day for the next 6 weeks, and you'll be completely different chess player. What would you guys do? Yeah, I would say like 90 minutes a day if they really want to work hard. Yeah.
Wow.
I found that there are topics that could bring short-term results and then long-term results. There are things that you can implement into their game right away. So for example, just the concept of, let's just say a student is 1500, or okay, some 1600s. The concept of just explaining a weak pawn and weak square. And you could just boost their game quite a bit in say 30 minutes. Just explaining some concepts is a lot easier than teaching them stuff like bishop maneuvering or knight maneuvering that requires time, implementation into the game. Then you look at their games and see how do they maneuver those bishops and knights, right? So, of course, tactics is probably the go-to first thing that you could improve right away, right? And usually with tactics, especially me, don't know how much different it is from the others, but and of course it depends on the student's level, but especially if they're lower rated, then doing massive amounts of easy puzzles over solving some puzzles lower quantity, but that requires like 5 minutes per puzzle, right? So I would say better solve 100 puzzles that are taking you 30 seconds per move, than per puzzle, than solving say 10 in the same amount. And of course the arguments are for both sides, but my argument is that most of the time the tactics that arise on the board, they're those simple tricks, 1, 2, 3 moves combinations, and you rarely get to think for 5-10 minutes and mate in 6 or 7, right? But I know that there are old schools and they like to just set up a complicated position, and it's very rich, and so there are many different themes, and I can see arguments for both sides. It's just that perhaps I know that the correct answer is always in the middle. You have to find the golden middle, and you have to do both of those, right? Or perhaps I give 60% to the easy puzzles, massive amounts, and prioritize those over intermediate to hard puzzles for you personally, because of course it depends on the level. You cannot say one puzzle is easy, medium for everyone.
Well, it's a spectrum, right? Yeah, I definitely agree with you. I think the higher you go, or the higher rating the student, I think the more like challenging it has to get. But for lower levels, I'm with you on, like, I think it's quantity over like quality. I think just seeing patterns 10 times, 100 times, 1,000 times, I think that's absolutely the way to do it. And then once someone has kind of developed some kind of tactical foundation, they're not going to blunder like a 2-move trick, then you can start talking about like some deeper aspects of calculation. And Mykhaylo, he doesn't work with anyone that's not just like a solid player already, which I think is very smart, because you focus on what you specialize in.
Yeah, so usually with my students, I don't have, as you said, Kostya, you have to do the hard, solid work so that you don't blunder. So you're familiar with all the patterns, you're good at those. And then the next step is harder, right? Yeah. Once you figured all the patterns out, what's next, right? So that's the hard step. That's where I think you actually need more sophisticated, more difficult puzzles, more challenging ones. That's assuming you're already not blundering and you're good enough to go there. That's true. I agree with that the first steps in tactics and calculation is the simple patterns. Just be excellent and recognizing and seeing and not blundering simple patterns. If you're good at that level, you can take a next level where more sophisticated stuff. And I would also say that it depends, for example, these students, I think there are different strategies to improve in classics and improve in blitz and rapid. So maybe actually having 3 categories is good: improving in blitz, improving in rapid, and improving in classical chess, and they not necessarily overlap. For example, for blitz, a great strategy is to study some dubious sidelines that nobody knows,
right?
And you know them to perfection, and you can win the hundreds of blitz games like that, right? If you go for that line, you've analyzed it to a strong, deep degree, and then you're crushing it. This strategy is horrible for classical chess. You play this once, people prepare, and that's it. You're done, right? So, and maybe something similar for rapid. And for blitz and rapid, it is much more important to do simple tactics quickly, rather than sitting for 5 minutes. Yeah, in rapid chess, 5 minutes, that's the end of the game, basically, if you spend 5 minutes on a move. That's just, unless you're like winning on the spot, that's way too much. But in classical game, 5 minutes is not big at all, right? So for classics, you actually need to tilt more to more challenging tactics. That's my observation. But if you're low on time, you need practice with simple calculation. So as you, Kestony, said, the truth is in the middle there. But much more simple tactics for blitz and rapid, and a little more sophisticated for classics. That's at least how I see it.
I would also would like to hear your opinion on one quote, since you mentioned the hardness. I was speaking years back to a grandmaster from my own country. He recently passed away, and I remember him saying that it's harder to get from 2400 to 2500 than it is from 0 to 2400. And this whole quote is mind-boggling to most of the audience, and it really sounds very, very interesting. And since you also mentioned that with the tactics, it's similar, that at first you do a lot of easy ones, you build the foundation, and then you really have to sit and work on those 10 minutes per puzzle and very complicated middle game positions that are very rich. Any thoughts on that? Like, I know that the truth is in the middle, but how far or how close would it be to the truth?
I think it's very close to the truth. Let me see what was my personal journey to 2400 and then to 2500. Yeah, getting to 20. Okay, luckily when I was starting getting my first rating, they had different system in place, so I was never even 2100. So I was immediately 2200. The first tournaments, they had this limit cutoff, I think 2000 or something. So if you performed below 2000, you just don't get the rating, and you keep trying, right? I think that was the rule. The cutoff was that. So my first rating was 2250 or something. That was just like that. I got there. So maybe it depends on what time you have started, right? Back then, it was for sure from 2250 to 2400 is not so far away, right?
Yeah, yeah.
But if you start from 1500, yeah, I think. But you have this K factor 40 and stuff, so maybe it's not that challenging. But there's a lot of truth, because in any field that you invest your time, I think there's a curve. Like if you draw a graph, at first you put a little work and poof, the result is skyrocketing,
exactly.
right? And then the more you input, the stronger you become. The next 5 more 10 points are much harder and take much more energy, because this is a graph. In the beginning, you just do one book on tactics and you're crushing all the kids in your club, right? And then but the further you go, it's harder and harder. So 100 points difference between 24, like you can do the math. How many 2500 players are there on the planet? I'm not sure, but it's 1500 grandmasters, I think. So let's call that a number, 1500. How many 2600 people are there? How many 27, right? It's not the same 100 points. It's not the same, right? So the higher you go, even 20 points is a huge difference on the top level. So, and it is quite challenging when you hit your, I call it a ceiling. Like you hit your ceiling and then you're stuck on this level. You're very close to your maximum ability. You need enormous effort to go higher than that. And yes, so there's lots of truth to that.
I mean, very small things probably add a lot of a difference at the highest level. For example, Magnus had to cut off orange juice, for instance, right? If you remember that. That was the story as well, right? And these very, very small things put you ahead of someone just slightly bit below you, right?
That's actually I learned it only when I was very much adult, that I think I read somewhere a quote that there are no, it's a not literal bad translation, but it goes something like this. There are no small things for the champions. So everything is important and valuable. So you shouldn't neglect, it doesn't matter what I drink, it doesn't matter, it all matters. So you have to do your best in every aspect. I had tournaments that I would at some point start to blunder and play badly, and I would say, oh, just a bad day at the office. And when I matured, I realized that, hold on a second, look in the mirror. What did you do bad so that to happen? Maybe not directly, but indirectly. Where did you screw up? Oh, I didn't get enough sleep because I stayed too late, watched something, was I focused during the game, or did I walk around for half of the game? Did I do this? Did I do that? Was I hungry? Was I but when I started paying attention to all the details, they call it a professional attitude. Suddenly my results became high.
Shall we now bring the chessboard back? And I'd like to ask Kestony to show us the game.
Right. So,
yeah, which game did you want to show, Kestony? We have.
Yeah, it depends on if we want to see a fragment. There is one. So there are 2 fragments of the position, like critical moments. And there is a game that I don't necessarily want to fully watch, but these are 3 likable ones that I like to use a lot. So perhaps let's select Chuchel of Georgia, just the critical position
Not sure.
for the start.
I don't have the names. Is that this one?
No. Let's go for the next one. That one should be with. Do you see the picture of the position?
I got this one, and then
There should be a knight on e8 for black if you see the picture.
No, I don't have this one actually. I have Gulko Rajabov.
Okay, you can select that one. Right?
Oh, okay. Here we go.
So this is one of the games that I like to show when I give lessons. There is everyone's favorites examples. By the way, I wonder if others know this game. Gulko versus Rajabov. I thought it's a very famous game, but it turns out like if you haven't seen that, then it is not. And it all goes with the creation of the plan. So I will go from the start. It's G3, a non-committing move, I would say, not fighting for the center. And Rajabov at the time was very young. We have to give this to him. He was, I think, 14 or 15, but he was already above 2,500. So,
wasn't that the age when he beat Kasparov in French?
Yeah, it could be, right? In 2001.
So?
It's 2001, yeah.
Yeah, so he was really good.
He matured real quick.
Right, and his opponent is Boris Gulko, a player who I believe has a positive score against Kasparov, and it wasn't like one game.
One of few people, for sure, yes.
Yeah, and it wasn't just a one game. I think there were quite a few, right? So a very famous author of the book as well, and they're playing this line. Well, instead of knight f6, black is playing e5, and they're going for this endgame. And I like always to give my students this position and just ask them about what would be the white's plan. So perhaps if they watch it on the recording, they could come up with some kind of plan. And in this position, well, white has a dynamical advantage of lead in development. And if we don't develop the initiative, it will basically vanish. So when I spar versus my students who are, well, they perhaps are not good enough to beat me from this position, but they usually just develop the white's pieces to natural squares. I do the same for black. My king goes to either c7 or runs away to the right side, and the advantage just vanishes. So there is a very good rule to remember that when we're having these so-called dynamical advantages, in other words, advantages that could vanish if you don't create any initiative, then we need to find an object of an attack. That helps us a lot with the initiative. And I would just, instead of showing you the next moves, and before I do that, I would just like to go to a couple of positions that are very similar, and the evaluation there is completely different. So I will just, I guess, promote it. Let me guys see, let me know if you see the moves. Mm-hmm. You do, right?
Yeah.
So this is one of the similar endgames that we could get, different in a way. It's known as rat defense. And all who are experienced know that this is going to be an endgame that is not good for white in terms of advantage. And if you ever show this position to a player who has never seen this before, and even if he's a very high rated player, I assume that he would think that white definitely has an advantage. But in this position, white has no way to develop the initiative, and because there are no objects of an attack. And so black will just safely put, say, the king on c7, or even to the right side, and that white's advantages will vanish. Perhaps what is also interesting is that the more we put the c pawn back in this position, the better it suddenly becomes for white. So if I say put the pawn on c2 already here, you could develop, okay, pawn to e4, play bishop to c4, and you could already ask to say the existence of the f7 pawn. So this is one of the perhaps key elements of evaluating such endgames. If there are concrete objects of an attack, and if you can find a concrete way to develop the initiative and play against those.
Now, that's a good point. Yeah, if I could just add on to that, I think in general, when you're attacking, one of the most helpful things is to choose a specific target. So it's useful to ask your students, like, okay, you're attacking the king, but like, which square? And then as soon as they recognize what square, then they find the move. They're like, oh, knight takes g7. And they're like immediately, yeah, clicks. That's really useful.
Right. Now, another type of position that I would also like to show, which is not going to be an endgame, but similar to the imbalances that exist on the board, it would be just simple queen's gambit accepted with e3. With this move, white is winning the pawn back comfortably and just wants to develop the pieces and ideally play e4. So white is going to build up the center, its theory over here. And the only way for black to play this would be with c5, basically. So black needs to undermine the white central control and equalize in that. So black immediately plays c5, castle, and now we have c takes d4. And I have given this position to at least, I would say, okay, rough number would be like 50 students. I would say out of that 50, maybe 2 students didn't take with the knight or the queen. And if you look up the database in exact disposition, 95% or more of the grandmasters or masters in this position take with the pawn. So there is a huge difference in misunderstanding of some things that so many people below 2000 and even 2000s that are my students I have given this to, they really take with the knight. And it's not because taking with the knight is bad, but they misunderstand the advantages that we're getting from taking with the pawn. So similarly to that previous position, if we take with the knight, we have that temporary advantage in the development and perhaps even activity of the pieces. But if we cannot find a concrete object of an attack in this position as white, and if you're not a very technical player and you can't maneuver well with creating threats and developing the initiative, your advantage will vanish. So it turns out that after bishop c5, all the master games, after 5 moves, black is completely equal. And so after takes with the pawns, you're getting more static advantages, which is the activity and better pieces in the middle game because of the space advantage you get. So let's take a look. Well, you're getting the bishop that is open. We're getting the open file for the rook. We're getting the outpost for the knight. And now, even though you won't create any kind of initiative in the next 5-10 moves, your pieces will still have more efficient squares on the board. While it isn't a weakness in the endgame, of course, white's idea is that we're going to change the structure or win the game in the middle game. In fact, maybe one last notion to add is that it's not easy for black to exchange the minor pieces without changing the structure. So say if the knight gets to d5, takes on c3 would change the structure. And of course, if we establish the knight on e5, again, taking would change the structure. So if we go back to the Gulko game, we can see a little bit of similarities between the previous two positions in terms of the advantages that white has. So in this position, Gulko needs to find a concrete object of an attack that he could develop his pieces to attack. And it's very interesting that he selected a weakness or a target that is not a weakness, and that would be e5. Well, by concept, a weak pawn is a pawn that cannot be guarded by other pawns, which is not the case over here. But nevertheless, if I was sitting in this position in over-the-board tournament and a grandmaster, say Mykhaylo, well, that would be cheating, but he would tell me, instead of developing randomly, that you would have to attack the e5 pawn. It makes my life a lot easier because suddenly I can think about my whole army as one, and I want to put massive amount of pressure on e5. I'm no longer thinking separately about making the bishop active, knight active, knight active. I'm really coordinating that whole army to the focal point of e5. So suddenly I know that my bishop belongs on the b2 square. My knight would want to go to c4. I want to play f4 and knight f3. So these are my go-to ideas, and black doesn't have an easy way of developing as well because he has to find up a universal setup how he can defend the e5 pawn. Whereas if we just develop randomly as white, then he can, well, develop randomly and comfortably as well. So don't know how hard of a move b3 is to find. For me, it looks a very beautiful plan, and this is one of the most beautiful, perhaps, plan ideas I have ever seen. So,
excuse me,
sure.
Game. When his book, when there's a club player guessing the moves, and they are discussing. This is from that book, right?
Yes, yes.
Okay, I remember many years ago I was doing that book.
Yes.
Now I recall, yes.
Yes. So Rajaba plays bishop e6. Again, very important, perhaps bishop move, because you take a look at c4 square so that the knight wouldn't come. And white just plays with his idea. Now black needs to come up with a unique setup of how, and he has to count how many of white's pieces are going to come to attack e5. And so you have to come up with the same number of defenders. So I guess one of the reasons why knight d7 is being played is that so that both knights will be guarding e5, because white is going to come with quite a few pieces to attack it. So white is playing this knight d2. We have knight e7 by black. And now if I was to have a lesson, I would again ask for my student to find another good move for white. Now, of course, it's easier to cheat the coach because white can just castle. And what kind of a coach I would be if I was to say castling is not good, right? So there is an easy way out of it. And there are quite a few moves. But I want to emphasize on the next move of white's, which seems very good and interesting to discuss. It would be bishop h3. A simple idea, yet very strong. We're exchanging the black's good bishop, the opposite color of the pawns and the center bishop, for our bad bishop, which also enables us the idea of knight c4. So we had bishop takes, knight takes, and Rajabov already plays a committing move f6. So it's not only to overprotect the e5 pawn, but also to protect against knight g5 ideas. So castles, and Rajabov decided to go for king e8. Of course, it is possible also to play c6 and king c7. Perhaps to most that would be more natural, but first of all, we're taking away the square away from the knight, which was supposed to go to c6 by Rajabov, but in a way also white can continue with very similar pressure with f4 and knight c4 ideas. So Rajabov went king e8 and f4, and just same pressure that persists against that e5 pawn. So knight c6, knight to c4, and now Rajabov offers an exchange of knight. Now, of course, with the initiative, we don't want to exchange the pieces because there's going to be no pieces left that we can create the initiative with. Taking is terrible because of the open A file and improvement of the black's rook. So we remaneuvered the knight to the square d5. And okay, rook d8, knight d5. And I would already go as far as telling that those dynamical advantages that we had 10 moves ago, which was leading the development and activity of the pieces, already gives us the fruits in the static advantages. So we already have that majority on the queen side. Perhaps it's already very close when even making calm moves for white would guarantee a lot better position, which was, say, not the case after the opening. So we had c4, c6, and white takes on e5, and plays another magnificent move that is not easy to consider as your candidate move. Again, super hard. If you would like the audience, they could pause the video if it's a local recording. It is the move knight f4. So basically making sense of the pin along the b2 and g7 diagonal. And it's a very basic idea of installing the knight on e6. So young Rajabov took the knight, bishop took on g7, rook to g8, bishop f6 with, again, initiative still continues. There are threats along the e file that white wants to create. And after rook f8, white is going to, say, technically or practically winning an endgame, which is in theory possible to draw. So we had takes on e7, rook he1, king to f6. I like what Rajabov is doing, trying to keep king very active. These are the only chances. Takes on f4 and takes on d5, and there is only one perhaps last critical moment after which we will stop. How should white take here on d5? And so sometimes you can calculate things by a concrete line. So There is a tactical tactical and strategic reason to take one way. So taking with the rook, according to the old rule, when you have an advantage, you should exchange pieces, not pawns, and vice versa. However, also just looking at the line, if we take with the pawn, black would just block the pawn, and it becomes more of a burden than an asset. And so Gulko took rook takes d5, rook takes d5, c d5, and went to win the rook endgame. So,
actually, quick question here on rook d8. What would be White's next move? Would it be rook d1 or rook e5?
Right. So that is interesting because in the game, black played king f5 and immediately allowed rook e7, which makes White's life a lot easier, right? Mm-hmm. So now we immediately know what to do, even though that
was the problem, huh?
Yeah. Exactly, right? However, if we play rook d8, then I guess we might want to cut off the king. So I think rook e5 would make sense to not activate the black's king, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Because we don't want to allow king f5 and king takes f4, right?
Yeah, there's not king side activities here for black.
Yes. Yes.
So
now White, I guess, slowly could improve the position of the queen side, right? And make progress. Well, black, for him, it's a bit hard to make progress. Funny enough, king is cut off on both from the queen side and from the king side. So I think rook e5 is very nice.
Mm-hmm.
So this is one of the games that I like to show.
Yeah, I have very pleasant memories with that Gulko book. It was interesting for me as a GM to study it, and I imagine it's very interesting for club level players to see, because the whole book is so he's giving a position, what would you do, and he just writes in the book what the club player suggested, and then he explains where he was right, where he was wrong, etc. So it's basically like a book of dozens of lessons with grandma. I think the name of the book is Lessons with GM Gulko. I think that's the name of the book.
Yes.
There are 2 volumes, I think. No.
Yeah.
Even 3, I believe. What is interesting is that the questions that so-called amateur asked the grandmaster, the author of the book, were also the exact same questions that I was asked by my own students, right? So that's an interesting notion. Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah,
true story. Yeah.
For showing this game, I will definitely check out this book. I need to find it. You guys are ready now to play a little game of the questions?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. Great. I have here 2 papers with full of questions, and I will set up the time. Let's say 2 minutes for each of you, or 1 minute. Should we go for bullet?
I don't like bullet.
Are these going to be same questions for all of us or different ones?
No, we have a lot of questions, so it will be different. I'll put timer for 2 minutes.
Do you want me to put a timer on the screen, Keti?
We do that.
That.
Perfect.
Yeah. How much time should be on it?
Let's say 2 minutes.
All right. 1 sec.
To be between blitz and bullet.
The truth is in the middle, yeah?
Yeah.
Or as I say, that the show in the night is the truth is out there. Yeah, I think that's the correct quote. I forgot the name of the show about aliens and stuff. The truth is out there.
Okay, 2 minutes on the clock. Let me know when to start.
Okay, Kostya, would you be the first to go?
Sure.
Okay. All right. Okay.
Let's do it.
Yeah, time is running.
Mm-hmm.
2 minutes, I think, not 10, Kostya.
Yeah, it's 2. It's 2.
Oh, it's 2? I can see 10 in this. Oh, now it's 2. My apologies.
Yeah, no worries.
Can we restart because...
All right, restarting. Ready?
Yes, let's go.
3, 2.
Okay. Are you a morning person or the night person?
Night owl.
Describe yourself in 2 words.
2 words?
3.
3 words. Oh, okay. I would say I'm chess, I'm creative, and kind.
What is this strangest thing that you have ever eaten?
Weirdest thing I've ever eaten. Oh, I guess for me the weirdest thing was escargot, the snails, which we didn't buy them in France. We bought them in St. Louis, Missouri. They were around. They had snails, and we tried them. Yeah.
What is the first thing that you do in the morning?
I check my phone.
Dog or cat?
I like dogs.
Phone call or text?
Text, please.
Work hard or play hard?
Oof. Work hard.
Coffee or tea?
Coffee.
Ocean or mountains?
Oh, that's a good question. Mountains.
What's your favorite cuisine?
Oh, it's a tough one. Japanese.
What are you currently learning?
Oh boy. Currently, I'm learning how to be a little bit more intentional with what I'm doing. Like if I'm working, I'm happy to work. I'm not complaining about it, right? If I'm resting, I'm resting. I'm not thinking about work.
We have 10 seconds. Okay, let's go. What is the thing that you are mostly afraid of?
Oh man, getting older.
Woo, we covered. Okay, that was my favorite too until my last birthday. Then I stopped. I stopped worrying about it. But since I am 23, 21 maybe, I worry about that. And then I ended all this stupidness just at the age of 28. I'm also afraid of this topic.
I think it's a natural fear, right? And like just a fear of height as well. There is no person that is not afraid of that.
Yeah.
Yeah, fear of height is just genes and biology. Lots of people died like that, and it's like in our genes to be terrified of that. So you can fight it, but that's yeah.
Actually, maybe my biggest fear is that people will stop like paying attention to chess. Like I remember there's my friend was telling me about this book where it's like in the future and like aliens have like invaded and there is this like whole war and stuff. And in that future, like sports don't exist because when aliens like invaded, everyone stopped caring about sports. They're like, our civilization is under attack. And in the new civilization, like the competition just like wasn't a thing. They just didn't. So I worry that one day chess will just become like irrelevant and then we'll all be out of work. That definitely scares me.
We'll have to have a good job at McDonald's or something.
Do something.
Okay, Mykhaylo, are you ready?
Yes. No, but yes. Okay.
All right. I'll start when you ask the first question. I'll start the timer.
So we're ready.
Yeah.
If you could be any animal, what would it be and why?
Bird. Flying is awesome.
Describe yourself in 3 words.
Chess, mathematics, father. That was too quick. Okay.
What is the worst place you could get stuck?
The worst place I could get stuck? Barrel? I don't know. Just somewhere dark where nobody can find the worst place.
What is the thing that you are most afraid of?
Losing my family.
If you could teleport, where would you go and why?
I want to say sun, but it's too hot there. Some other planet and then come back. That's if I can teleport twice.
You come back in Ukraine. It's your goal. If you won $1 million, what would you buy?
Actually, that thought a little scares me, and I don't like that it scares me because like it would be much harder to find motivation to work on chess. What would I buy? A house, a good car, and create a fun for my children.
What foods you don't like?
Oh, what food I don't like? Some really fat food I don't like. There's lots of fat in it.
Dog or cat?
Parrot. I had a parrot and I really liked it, but probably cat if I had to choose from two. Yeah.
Meat or vegetable?
Vegetable.
Passenger or driver?
Driver.
Facebook or Twitter?
I have no account on Twitter.
Okay.
Time's up.
Time's up. So you are only on Facebook?
Yes.
Okay.
It's not like it's just happened that way. That's it. So it's not like I have a strong feelings about it. I know I should get Twitter and stuff.
It's a lot of fun.
I'm 33.
I don't have it too.
Wow. Guys, can you imagine? You can tweet things at Anish Giri and he'll probably read them. Imagine the power.
He's like a bird and you like birds.
That's a good point, Katia.
Okay. So we move to Kestony now. Are you ready?
Yes, let's go.
Okay. I'll try to ask the questions that I have not asked you.
All right, timer's ready whenever you start.
Okay. I'll start reading the question, right?
Yes, let's go.
If you could live anywhere in the world, where it would be?
Hometown, home country, obviously, Lithuania.
Do you have any pets?
No.
What is one item you could never live without?
You know, I have to say it. Obviously, a chess set, right? Yeah.
Okay. What does your office or working space look like?
Pretty clean and professional. Yeah.
What age do you want to retire?
Ooh. That's a tough one. It's gonna consume a lot of time. Okay, let's just say never.
Phone calls or texts?
Phone calls.
Passenger or a driver?
Passenger.
Coffee or tea?
Tea.
Ocean or mountains?
Ocean.
If you were famous, what would you be famous for?
Chess coach.
Are you a morning person or a night person?
Night person.
Describe yourself in 3 words.
Curious, dedicated, and very eager to learn. That was 3. Didn't come up with the right word, but I'm sure there is a word for those 4 words in one, right?
Probably, but we don't have time. So what is the first thing you do in the morning?
I drink a glass of water.
And what's the thing that you are mostly afraid of?
Death.
Tired.
What is your favorite cuisine?
What's that? Is it a kitchen, like type of food? Yeah, Chinese.
Yeah.
Okay. And last time that you laughed very hard?
Laughed. Today in our stream. That was very good laugh. Couple of times.
That's good.
All right, time's up.
So nice. I have to watch this stream again, maybe tomorrow, to listen the answers that you gave, to know you better. To analyze it and to know you better.
That was a lot of fun, though. When you have to answer those quickly, you might even know more about yourself than you previously knew, right? Because sometimes you don't know things about yourself until someone asks you to think about it, right? So you think about things that you never thought before, right? And
yeah, I didn't know I prefer the mountains to the ocean until just now. But yeah, sand is the worst. I don't like sand or salty water or sharks.
That's because your ocean have. I'm always
I should
thinking
say
about seas and stuff. Yeah.
Grew up in California, yeah, so I've got my fair fill of beaches for a lifetime. But yeah.
Or sometimes, you can receive a question, you have that answer, but you don't want to tell it, and you come up with something else. And that you learn yourself a little better. Oh, okay, that was the answer. Wow, okay. That's because that's the true one usually. The first one that pops to your mind. Yeah.
Any season or any time period that, for example, study chess is more productive, or you feel like it's time to study now chess? Like, for example, winter, you're not going out, there are less parties, no beach, no sun, you have all your time at home. Is there some kind of issues in this case, or not so much for chess players?
I think it highly depends on the age. So since I work with massive amount of children, the answer is easily that when the school is off, the summer is when they improve a lot more than even during the spring, autumn, and winter itself, right? Also, it depends on where you live. If you live in, say, countries where there is no winter, then it's the same all the time, right? So there are many ifs on that. I wonder if others could come up with a better answer, right?
For me, I remember actually working a lot, a couple of different springs. I don't know what it is. Maybe it was just something about spring that was productive. But yeah, I would imagine for like adults and like adult improvers, or people that are working like all year round. For kids, of course, yeah, the summer. But for everyone else, the winter makes sense. You're probably just going to be inside more. For me, I don't know, spring often made sense just because I feel like I had a lot of time. Maybe there's some kind of natural motivation, right? From the spring, you're going into the summer. And I would play a lot of tournaments over the summer as well. So I would say the best time to improve is when you have a tournament like 2-3 months away. You have something to look forward to.
That's a very good point. And there used to be lots of tournaments in the summer, right? For obvious reasons, people go to relax, to the sea, and they can enjoy chess. So yes, I agree with you, Kostya, about the spring. I also want to add that you want to improve as a chess player, physical education and physical exercises and running and swimming is very important, and especially if you can do it on fresh air. So spring fits in that category quite well. So you have to do that as well. You have to get your body and brain into the best form that you can, I would say. You will need more oxygen during the game, and you get that by physical exercises, specifically running and swimming. Better outdoors, because indoors it's not the same, I would say.
Don't know if you knew, but in general, if more oxygen means you're playing better chess, which is an argument, because more oxygen means also like there are many medications that are banned substances from running, and those increase the red cell count, which increase the oxygen level. So the only actually sport that increases the amount of oxygen body can take is swimming.
Not even running, really.
Like Grishuk, who always comes with interesting ideas that are out of the box, right? But swimming is the only one. It is named VO2 count, basically. So basically, with each breath you take, the amount of oxygen you can inhale increases. And I saw research that swimming so far is the only one that does that. So
the only one or the best one? Is it the only one or the best one?
Is what I remember. I cannot be 100% sure, but I'm like 85% sure, right?
Wow,
yeah, but obviously, like the running increases like cardiovascular shape and all that, which also increases the amount of oxygen you can take. But the thing that you don't maybe work the lungs so much as you do in swimming. And it's because you have to breathe in and then you don't breathe while you're underwater, I guess. But okay, we don't want to make this a medicine stream, but all of you who are watching, if you can take one sport, perhaps I just throw a stone into the running camp, right? I guess, but I run myself, so I don't
What
swim.
about walking? It's the only sport
Walking
that
is
so far.
And I would say it depends how you're swimming. You have to like swim correctly and quickly, right? So the proper swimming, not just relaxed swimming, right?
Exactly.
So
Yeah, sitting
No.
in jacuzzi won't help.
are you sure? It would be so awesome. You just sit in the jacuzzi and become a better chess player.
Yeah, if you invent that.
That's a nice. That's a nice. I've seen many players are hearing from gym that they are running or doing other exercises, and they have chess boards, chess screen, and they're either playing or just solving some puzzles. Yeah, but never tried myself. Never tried.
I tried swimming and doing puzzles. That's interesting. You can drown, but you have to swim very slowly. So that's like casual swimming, like you're completely relaxed. I'm thinking about the position. But Vasily Ivanchuk is not driving. He's not driving a car at all. Not driving at all. Because once he has a position in his mind, like everything fades away. And that's not a good quality for a driver. So
yeah, some conversation. I don't remember it was here, but or not. That many of chess players are not driving cars. Was it here?
I think I have a recollection, something like that we've been discussing. I'm not sure if there's like enough evidence to support it, but yes, that's the case. Many chess players just don't drive, and that's it. I sometimes, several times I tried it and I stopped doing that when I'm driving, and then I put my phone onto a thing that connects to the next to the wheel, and there's some like Carlsen playing, so I open like follow chess app and I see the game, and that's just dangerous. So I stopped doing that because I was like, if I were just glancing at the position and keep driving, that's one thing, but I'm a professional. I don't just glance at the position. I start calculating, and that's really bad. That's why and then like, oh my goodness, okay, turn off, focus. This is so. It's not looking on YouTube video. You actually, by default, you start calculating what would I do here. Whoa, why did he play that? And then, yeah, that's very dangerous. That's why lots of players, I'm guessing, are not driving. So I stopped doing that.
Yeah. Oh, that's something that I will think about. I need to collect the data of chess players who have license and have not.
Are you a chess player? Yes. No, you don't get a license. Next.
Oh God. Okay. So I think that's it for today. Thank you guys for bringing so nice positions here, so nice examples, nice memories. Thank you, Kostya, for bringing all these images and videos here for us.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
And also all the viewers who spent time with us and shared their comments. So yeah, we will see next week, right? Next Saturday. Next time.
That's usually the schedule. Thank you, Keti, for hosting. Always a pleasure.
All right. Bye.